Eurovision. Let's talk Eurovision. Let's talk Eurovision.
Chocolate covered sugar and spice. Tasty, tasty, yum, yum, tasty.
How much time do we have left together? I can tell you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of Mattitude, the ESC United live stream where we talk about, you guessed it right, Eurovision. This is show, I don't know, 5, 6 of this season. And I have been doing this by myself, but at least for this little hour before the semi-final one, I have a little bit of support by my BFF Connor, he's running the show behind the scenes. How are you doing? I mean, not the Eurovision show, but the ESC United show, right?
Imagine I'm calling in from Basel right now. No, I'm doing good. I'm on my lunch break, so I am happy to spend an hour. It's crazy, Matt. If you think about it, the last time that we saw each other and we did a stream together was this time last year.
Yes. Time flies, huh? When you're having fun.
Something
I
like
know
that.
it's been a minute, but it's so good to have you back. So I also want to give a shout out to everyone in the chat who is there. Thank you. I'm just gonna bring up all of my screens right now because I was multitasking right before this because I got to get ready for the show. Because as you can see right behind me, I did this very sophisticated tape wonder, Scotch tape wonder, where I put all the countries that we have in our I should say I have in our predictions. Right now, we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But first, Connor, I want to ask you, look at this thing. This is what I came up with the help of my viewers in the chat right now. Some disagreements there, but I listened to them so I can point fingers in case they're wrong. But looking at the 10, where do you think, Matt, this should not be on there? You're forgetting somebody or something like that.
Well, so right now, truthfully, I agree with almost every person or every country, I should say, that you have on the board. This is partially personal taste, but also just I think what's gonna perhaps skew things for me is Poland right now. And when I say skew things, I mean how today looks. I got to watch the dress rehearsal just a little bit whilst I was working on some things here at work yesterday.
The one this
And
afternoon, you mean?
the one from yesterday, I didn't catch the one. I caught the last interval and the results process from this morning. But yesterday, vocally, Poland wasn't as impressive to me. And so, of course, it's a dress rehearsal, right? So there's not necessarily going to be an all-out performance there, but I think in order to qualify, Poland needs to be 100%, because I think that there is a potential where Poland doesn't have as much of an appeal as like the Sweden and Albania, where it's just a really wow performance. So Poland needs to rake in as many televotes as it can to get through.
So if not,
not,
like worst case scenario, which of these 5 would then potentially be the one that you think is most likely to sneak in?
Which one do I think could sneak in? Also having some issues with their vocals yesterday. I could see a case for Croatia if things kind of get a little bit more cleaned up. It was really mostly kind of the tail end, the screaming O part that was a little shaky. But the visual package is really well done, and I really like it because it's basically a 3-minute chaotic performance, which in a case is the same of Poland. My personal, what I would love to have happen, and I don't know, as the days go on, I get a little more nervous about it, is I'd love Portugal to go in. But I'm the resident Portugal stan, so I'm contractually obligated to say that.
It's good because when I posted my prediction video, that was all like Portugal. There are lots and lots of stands out there as well. So at least you have certainly the support. And keep in mind, this is also not my personal top 10. As a matter of fact, I looked at it. It's only 7 of my personal top 10 are on that list. So it's hard not to include some of the ones that you really want to qualify, but you're trying to be as unbiased as possible. But I am a human being. There'll always be some bias there, and that is okay. So I'd love to hear from people in the chat as well at ESC United. So make sure you at me so we can see them in the thing. Do you know who the interval acts are tonight? Somebody's asking. Connor, do you want to answer that?
So I know that there is an interval with and I'm so not in the know this year of like all the hosts and everything, but 2 of our hosts are performing a interval called Made in Switzerland with I'm not gonna spoil anything, but a special guest will make an appearance during that performance, as well as a ode to Celine Dion's winning song from 1988, which is performed by Jerry Heel. Gosh, I'm blanking.
Just say the countries. It's like Sylvester from Lithuania.
Sylvester,
Yolanda from Portugal.
Yolanda from Portugal, and Greece, whose name is escaping me, but I know it's M.
Yes.
Yeah, her. And so they're all up on stage in white and performing that number. Those are the only 2 that I know of that I've caught. So if there's anything that is not in there, I don't know it, so it'll be a
Yeah, the
surprise
big
to me.
parts are, of course, the tribute. You're talking about the song, as well as the "I Love Switzerland" act, which I thought was hilarious. Actually, it's like, it's very Eurovision-y. It has a touch of love, love, peace, peace to it, as well as, they did a similar thing in 2013 where Petra made like jokes about the Swedish people. So it kind of goes down that route. So I thought it was funny. Speaking of, and we're not showing anything, but it has been a lot of drama, Connor. I'm not sure if you looked. There's somebody that hacked into the live stream, the dress rehearsal yesterday, and posted the entire thing, and the EBU is trying to delete it. And some of you may have seen it, but I encourage you not to watch it because it just, encourages more individuals. But that's pretty shocking, huh? The whole thing.
Yeah, and again, I'm on the socials, so I was seeing kind of what was happening, and I was also wondering kind of where it came from, because we always have this like running conjecture that someone's leaked it from the press center. And so the confirmation this morning from I don't remember, it was someone at the EBU, that it had come from the satellite feed for the juries. I was like, interesting. But I mean, I think we're at that point where everyone is just going to be always trying to find a way to get to something to figure out what's going on. So it doesn't shock me, because it's not the first time this has happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, but something like this, the whole thing, I've seen like performances leak, but the entire show, I don't recall that happening.
Not the entire show, because usually it's the press center. It's usually an online press center person. And this is, I think, that I know of, the first time that the entire satellite for the jury show has gone up beforehand.
Yeah. Just want to put that on here because it says from Faith, morning y'all from LA, and yes, I had my cup of Tommy Cash with the macchiato and Colombian coffee, and LA is in the house representing, so I'm not the only one glued to the TV at almost 11 a.m. local time. Now, Connor, you went in 2023 to do Eurovision on site. Do you have a little bit FOMO right now, or how are you holding up?
I think that I had more of it last year, just because it was that immediate year after than really, I think, this year. I think as well, as you know, Matt, we are not necessarily privy to the same level of access this year as we had last year, as we had the year before, as we had the year before. And so I feel like, yes, I am missing out on seeing all my friends and, seeing Roy and David, who are there in Basel right now, and seeing Melanie, who is not in Basel, but is still helping us out on the ground there in Netherlands. But I don't know. It to me, this is normal. Truthfully, 2023 was an abnormal year for me, because I had been watching it remotely for 9 years. So that was the 1 year where I was like, "Oh, this is like really weird."
Yeah.
So I'm just back to my normal routine of watch the show at work, go about my daily business, go to the gym after the qualifiers are announced, and everyone's happy.
Enjoy it. Well, at least you are. Okay, let's move on. And again, it's questions in the chat at ESC United. Pick up where I can, of course. How do you compare production and overall quality of the show to previous year? My answer is, the quality seems very high in my opinion. I think the fact that the stage and what you can do with the stage this year, hanging from the ceiling, all the different depth and layering creates visually for something that we have not seen before. And I think that really the production raises it to a new level. So that's the thing that stood out to me the most. So I like what they can do now, because previously you couldn't have anyone hang from the ceiling like we see with Poland or Finland this year. That was always a big no-no. That has changed now. So I think that adds a lot to just the visual feast that we have this year, in my opinion. How about you, Connor?
Yeah, I think, and again, I haven't seen every single performance all the way through. I've seen chops here and there, but
yeah, that's true. Same for me. Yeah,
just from the actual stage, I've been very impressed. I think that it is a very versatile stage, and that acts are finding ways to incorporate sections of the stage in a really cool way. But it's not a stage like kind of when I think about was it Dusseldorf 2011, where it was just a giant circle? No. Yes. Then you only have that circle to work with, and that's kind of kind of it. So you're really limiting the acts. I think that this stage really gives people the ability to do whatever their creative heart desires. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone's using it to its greatest potential, and that comes down to budget and ideas and songs and just what people could create. But some countries have really pulled in, from what I've seen from the rehearsals. Some countries in this semi have created pretty interesting packages that use the stage's qualities to their best potential.
Yes, no, I completely agree with that. And as you pointed out, there is the caveat we haven't seen the full semi 2 yet, or the other half of the big 5. So more to come on that. But just based on we've seen half of it now, basically, it looks pretty good. So I just want to jump real quick, everyone in the chat as well. I want to see at ESC United your opinions as well. Is one of the polls I posted on social media was out of the, because it seems to be according to the polls and the betting odds, the countries that are considered likely qualifiers are these 5. These 4, and then Iceland, no, that's the wrong one, sorry. Iceland, San Marino, and Slovenia are fighting for the 10th final spot, if you believe the odds and the fan polls. So I want to ask everyone in the chat, who do you think will qualify? I'm going to post a poll as well in a second between Iceland, Slovenia, and San Marino. Who is the most likely one? So while I'm starting to post that poll, I'm going to ask you, Connor. Think about it. If it's between those 3, only one can make it. Who is the most likely one? Okay,
personally,
I put you on the spot.
No, yeah, you put me a little bit on the spot.
That's okay. I love doing that.
Personal opinion, though I really do enjoy Slovenia's song, and I think especially because in this semifinal, if it was in second semifinal, I would not say this, but in the first semifinal, I think that it's a really good foil to the songs that happen in that first half, in particular Iceland and Poland, that come right before it, right? It is pretty much the slowest song that we get in the first, I don't know the run order that well, but 5-6 songs until we get back to Portugal. So I really like it for that reason. What I think the viewers are going to go for is probably Iceland, just because one, it is a really strong open. It has, and I'm going to make a terrible dad joke, it has a great vibe.
I love puns, so no, we're good.
And it's a party song, right? We know that songs that are of this genre do well in a televote, which is the deciding factor here. Now, if we were back in pre qualifier decided between juries and televotes, my answer would be different, because I don't think that a jury would go for Iceland. I think that they'd go for Slovenia. But because it's the public only, I think Iceland has a stronger chance than possibly Slovenia or San Marino right now.
So you stick with this one as well, then, basically.
I would stick with Iceland. That right now in my personal qualifiers, they are in my 10 slot. I think that they will squeeze in with just enough points, and the 11th placing song will probably only get maybe somewhere between 5 to 15 points.
Yeah. People in the chat still voting, so I'll give you like a few more moments. One caveat I want to throw out there, because if it would be personal taste, I would put San Marino in the 10th slot for me personally. But the audience here convinced me otherwise a couple of days ago, so I took it out. But Connor, and I kind of tweeted about it as well, or X'd it, what do they call it nowadays? The audience poll had San Marino in 4th place. Do you think that is an indicator at all, or is that just misleading? What do you think? That there's could actually be some hope for San Marino?
I saw that, and well, one, you have to take into account that I think the number of people that they poll is small, so there is a very large margin of error that can happen in here. So we have to take that into consideration. I think as well. It really depends on who was there in that audience, right? That audience may have loved a Italian DJ EDM type song versus the actual majority of televoters who will be watching in the semifinal tonight are like, what's this? I think that this is not a good performance. So like, I always take the press polls and the fan votes after with a massive grain of salt, because there's a very high likelihood that whatever that audience saw and liked may not actually translate. Usually the top 2 or 3 are kind of spot on, right? Those are pretty much a lock in because they were well received. But those like 4 to 15s, I never trust them.
Yeah, and that is fair to say. And there is maybe the caveat saying, because we are in Switzerland, there's a healthy amount of Italians in showing up there as well that could skew the numbers. I'm just preparing my voice because, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even kick Iceland out. I would kick another one out. But I'd love it. But I looked at also the last year's audience poll. And first of all, Latvia came dead last in semi 2 in the audience poll. And they finished, 7th in the semi, I think, that year. Or that night. And I think Australia and Belgium both were 6th in the audience poll, and they both didn't qualify. So anything is possible. But at least the only thing, caveat, at least I still hold on to a little tiny bit of hope. So because I was already resigned to it's not going to happen. Now I'm kind of like, oh, maybe. Let's see here. Okay, San Marino and Iceland, even though stylistically Iceland and Slovenia cancel each other out. Okay, yeah, we'll see. So now let's take a look at the poll here and see what the people say. Iceland is the leader, followed by Slovenia, and then only 17% for San Marino. You think, Connor, that's about right?
I'm so sorry for all those fans, but yeah, that sounds about right.
Again, San Marino's fans. Yeah, I get it.
From a package that sits by itself, right? If I'm going to go back and I'm going to think like, oh, I really want to go back and watch San Marino, I think that it's a good package. It's fun to watch. But when you stack this, and in particular, not that I was watching any leaks yesterday, because again, I watched the whole dress rehearsal, but I was watching the rest of the world recap because I was just kind of like revisiting how do these songs exist next to each other in a rapid succession.
I did the same thing.
San Marino gets bulldozed in the running order recap because it is just not as impressive in comparison to what it is sandwiched between, because it's between Belgium, Azerbaijan doesn't really help it coming right before it, but then it goes right before Albania. So you put this Belgium song, skip Azerbaijan, it's not as impressive as Belgium, San Marino, Albania. What are people going to remember? Belgium and Albania. That's what I've gotten from the recap. Every time I watch
that is fair. That's all you can do. You can go based on your vibe. No, I can see that. So we'll find out soon enough. But while while I'm doing that, I want to just briefly also talk about now the betting odds, because we're basically right where the show is happening. So there will be still some changes as the show is happening. But let's consider this the final look for us. Give me 1 second. Share. Oop, it's loading. Show on screen. Here we go. So let's take a look at the betting odds real quick. So Sweden is still, anything like in the top 5 is like almost identical, between 95 and 93%. Sweden, Estonia, Netherlands, Albania, Ukraine at number 1. Then Belgium has climbed up quite a bit since the full rehearsals came out. Poland in 7, Cyprus 8, Norway 9 with 79, and then there's a little bit of a gap with San Marino. And then I'm going back to what I said between San Marino, Slovenia, and Iceland. San Marino is still ahead, so it's basically the opposite of what upside down from what the poll was saying. And then Azerbaijan, Portugal, and Croatia in that order. We're looking at this right now. To me, it is pretty spot on. I will say, and I said it after the rehearsal as well in my video, so I would not be completely shocked if either Cyprus or Norway misses out. And the reason I have Cyprus in because it has the best running order, and in a small semi where you only need to be in the top 2/3, as long as you're in the bottom third, you're good to go. Was a little worried that this, will qualify. I probably will drown in the finals because I thought the whole scaffolding thing would be way more impressive. It starts out great with the Vitruvian Man, but then it's just like they're moving the boxes around, they're climbing up and down. But I thought they're going to do more visuals, more silhouettes, more like that kind of stuff, and we didn't see that. So vocally was a little underwhelming. Same for Norway. I think the energy wasn't quite there. So I'm not too surprised that they're a little bit lower on the end. So if there's a surprise, I could see Cyprus and Norway. But any surprises for you here, Connor, in terms of this predictions?
I mean, not really. Again, I'm really suspicious about the odd makers because odds are where people want to put money, not so much what they actually think will happen. And so, I mean, I think it's bold that so many people have money on San Marino. I think San Marino is very happy that people have money on San Marino this year, because sometimes they're just happy to qualify. I think for me, the one that is just interesting, and I recognize that this song is not for me, but Estonia being so high up there, I think that from an odds perspective, people know that this is kind of like a cult classic in the Eurovision realm, and so they believe that it's a safe qualifier. So it's, again, something that you're going to put money on because you get more return on something that actually qualifies than gambling on something that doesn't qualify. I don't know. I mean, I think that Cyprus is going to qualify very safely this year because of this semifinal. I think that you're right that the slot it's in, the 15th slot in the running order, in particular, it is a very catchy performance, in particular in the running order like snippet, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with you though. If it does qualify, it will probably drown in the final just because it is not a song that I think stands up against a crowd of 26. It is if the grand final was still back in, the 80s and 90s, there's 17 people competing, Cyprus would have a chance at a top 5 because it could stand out in a crowd of 16 songs, but 26, it's an uphill battle for them. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, no.
I'm also working on our poll article, so bear with my
multitasking. That's quite all right. Then I'll talk in the meantime. And I kind of echo because it's technically in the order I predicted, right? Sweden first, Iceland 10th. I put Cyprus in 7th place for that reason. I don't think it's going to do as well as people may think, but I think it'll be a safe enough qualifier for the reasons that you just mentioned as well. But I think it's going to be less. I also downgraded Estonia quite a bit. Estonia is still a banger. It's such a Eurovision-friendly song, and it did well with the audience as well and all of that stuff. It's just vocally, it was, let's just say, not the best vocal performance of the night.
It was a struggle.
Go ahead.
The song does not need to be delivered flawlessly, right? It is a song that is not going to be the most vocally arresting performance of the year, but I think for me, where the song loses me is I think it's and don't get me wrong, I like a song that has like gimmicks and like a theme, and it's like kind of on that border of like jokey, but like not like when we're thinking about like the mid 2000s jokey, like not that far.
I know, like
but it's like right on the nose, and I'm like, ooh, I like where this sits. But I think for me, it is just leaning so far into it that you need something else there, and I don't necessarily know. I don't know if Estonia is going to get the showing that I think that they think they're going to get this year. Again, I still think that they're going to qualify. It still has a very large fan base and people who love it. I don't know. I also think that the opening of the Winners Cafe, I don't know. I think it's just has rubbed me the wrong way, where I'm just like,
how about the fan that's storming the stage and all of that stuff? You think that was funny, or was that also much?
I have missed all of Estonia's performance. The only thing that I have, because I took a phone call during the performance, so I've heard it. I haven't seen it.
I mean, it's funny. It's very campy. Like, you think it's like somebody actually storming the stage. The security guards hold her back, and then they start dancing together. Actually, so it's
Gosh.
funny, but it is very campy. But just to go back to that one question, is it possible that Estonia might not qualify? The televoters do punish bad vocals from time to time. So let's just say, Connor, I know we both agree that Estonia will still qualify, but let's just say in a couple of hours, Estonia is not in. Would that be a complete shock, jaw drop for you? Or you can say, okay, yeah, I could see a universe where this is happening, or you're still not there.
Personal opinion, I would not have Estonia in. Again, this is not my cup of tea. It's not my kind of song. It's not something that I would personally vote for and pick up the phone for. Professionally, I don't know if I see a world where Estonia does not qualify at all. I think if things go badly for them, this is going to be a case of them probably being a 7 to 10 qualifier, but still in, right? They're not going to be in the top 3 of the semifinal. But this is a semifinal where there are only 5 non-qualifiers, right? So I don't think that there is enough detraction in Estonia's performance to essentially pull votes away from them into other places. But I think that what matters is if people are voting for them, where does their point total come out to from each country? Because if it is low enough, it could not qualify. If it's mid enough, it can squeak through. And I think that truly is what Estonia wants. I don't think that they're trying to win with Tommy Cash this year. I think they're getting enough votes so that they can qualify to the grand final
and have a good time.
Fun.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's kind of where we're at with that one. And that is because it's not going to do well with the juries. We often can agree with that. Before I have a feeling of Sweden that it's too much overrated this year, and have the feeling it'll happen like Italy 2017. Maybe a surprising Finland or Belgium could win this year. Let's focus on the first part of the question, Connor. Could you see Sweden underperforming this year with the sauna song? I know it's considered the front runner. So do you think that there could easily be that it could? I mean, I guess a 5th or 6th place would be a flop in those eyes, although I never would consider that a flop, but I understand some people do. Could you see a universe or like a world where this could actually happen?
Well, if I was Sweden, I would call a flop actually not qualifying for the final, since it's only happened once. Yeah. Shout out to my girl Anna Bergendahl. I don't know if I necessarily see the victory for Sweden right now. And again, we've only seen the first semifinal.
You do not see a victory, or you said you don't see? I'm sorry, say it one more time.
I don't necessarily know if I see the victory for it right now.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
If things are not super impressive in the second semifinal, I do see a pathway for victory for Sweden. If things are really impressive in the second semifinal, I think that what we're going to end up having is I think Sweden will probably be in the top 5 or 6. Again, it is a really good package. It is very fun. It's very memorable. I just don't necessarily know if I see I kind of go back to like kind of how I felt about Eurovision 2023, right? When like literally the entire time, every single person, press or fan, knew that at the end of the day, it was going to come down to Louane or Käärijä. Like those were like the 2 clear standouts, and anyone else was just happy to be in the top 10, right? This year, it is such an open year, and I don't necessarily know if we have a very clear standout person. And I am hesitant to say that Sweden is just going to run away.
So do you think then, yes, that I think the reason why they're so far ahead in the betting odds is because it's Sweden? Is that probably the biggest factor, and people feel more confident and comfortable putting money down on Sweden?
I would say so. Sweden, again, is never, it's like betting on Ukraine to qualify. It is never a bad investment to do, because those are 2, well, I mean, Ukraine just has the streak. And Sweden, again, has only 1 non-qualification and multiple years of semifinals. So it is a safe bet, but I think that there has been a little bit of a loss between the Melodifestivalen staging to the Eurovision staging, where it worked really well on a smaller staging or a smaller stage in a more intimate setting. Whereas on the larger stage, I feel like it kind of just, I don't know, it doesn't have the same oomph that it had at Melfest. And again, it is also competing in a larger lineup of 15 instead of, I don't even remember how many were in Melfest,
Well, in the
where
finals
it
were 12,
did
right?
stand out more.
Yeah, and they were last on top of it, in the Melfest
Right.
final. So
And then they flipped. It was the wildest thing to watch happen, that they're last in the odds and then they turn
I
around
know,
and
right?
win. But
That's why you have to take it with a grain of salt. Real quick, Mark says, "Hi, Connor. Greetings from your Manchester landlord."
hi, Mark.
Wanted to give that a shout out. So I also want everyone, now you can ask any questions at ESC United that we can that you want us to answer. And while you're asking your questions, Connor, I know we're having semifinal 1 tonight, but just out of curiosity, which country or like 1 or 2, whatever, you're really looking forward to seeing the whole performance from semi 2, including the direct qualifiers? So any of the 19 countries performing tomorrow.
Ooh, who am I looking forward to the most? Well, this is personal fan service for myself, but I am so excited to see the full performance for Latvia. I have said this multiple times. You have missed this because you have not necessarily been reading the group chat all the time, but I have been a fan of Tatumaitis for years. And so
you've known them before already.
I've known them for about 3 to 4 years because I listen to a lot of folk music, and they are one of the most notable folk musical groups in Latvia. So when they popped up in Supernova, I was like, this has to happen. I'm sorry, no one else can win. It has to be them. And when they pulled out that package in Supernova, I was amazed. Pull that into what we've seen from the clip and the photos. I'm so excited to the way that this is going to look on the stage, on for the TV, and also they sound amazing. So I'm super excited to see that whole package, and I know that they won't let me down. I think the other one, if I had to only pick 2 that I'm excited for, I would probably say I'm actually excited for Malta, because almost everything has, not everything, but almost everything has changed from Malta, and it seems like there's a really big glow up that has happened between MESC to Eurovision. Now there are a couple of other ones that just I'm excited to see just in general. But
those are getting personal for I was more asking from a selfish perspective, so you kind of answered that. That is totally fair.
Those are my selfish personal. I can't wait to see these in fangirl over Latvia and Malta.
I will just pick the obvious ones, but for a different reason, which is Austria and France. Those are 2 very, of course, but I want to see if they're going to raise havoc in the betting odds, because those are the only ones that could potentially really make a difference. So I want them to completely mess things up, because I love a little bit of chaos. Do you think Switzerland would win if they weren't already hosting? I'll answer first on this one. I don't think that there is any kind of evidence or data out there that shows that if you hosting, that you have less of a chance of winning. I know it hasn't happened in a while, but tell me a song where it should have happened, or where there should have been close. So I don't think though they would win even if they wouldn't host with the song, not because I'm in deep love with that song. I could see a potential jury win with that, but I don't see a televote win for Switzerland with this song. I think I could see a top 6 or something like that, but not enough to really get to the top, whether they're hosting or not. But I don't believe in this a host cannot win sort of situation. People in the bubble, we like to overthink it, I'm not going to vote for this because the host. No, otherwise Sweden wouldn't be doing well all the time. So that's would be my opinion. What do you think, Connor?
Well, and I think some of this conjecture may come from the host curse, right? When I'm trying to think, with the exception of Sweden in 2016, you take a look at, I think, to Austria 2015 through was it Tel Aviv of 2019, where you host the contest and it's an immediate bottom 5. None of the host countries were ever doing well. And we've kind of seen a switch up of that of late. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. I don't necessarily think that it is a automatic thing where it is impossible. I think that it is maybe a little bit more difficult, right? You have to have a good song and a good staging that really stands out. I have not seen Switzerland yet. This is the one that I missed, unfortunately.
That one as well, just like Estonia.
Yes. Well, it's towards the end of my workday, so as I'm packing up and trying to
You're forgiven.
get out. But I don't know. I think it really just comes down to the way that I know that it's a very intricate camera work staging from what I've been reading and what I've heard about it.
One shot kind of thing. Yeah, one camera shot thing.
And I think it depends on how it comes together. I currently have Switzerland in my top 5 at the moment. So
Personal top 5 or like prediction top 5?
Personal top 5.
Okay.
So if they did win, I wouldn't be mad. Do I see it happening? I don't know. It depends on Thursday right now.
It's on Thursday, yeah. Well, on Thursday you you mean like who's going to qualify and everything? I mean, because
who makes it through on Thursday? Because that changes the game. All
right. Next question from Leafern. I'm so worried for Denmark. I want them to qualify because I love that song. But ... So I'll let you first answer on this one, Connor. What do you think? Do you think Denmark is in, out? Are you concerned? What do you think?
I think I'm a little concerned. And again, this is one that we haven't seen anything from outside of the 30-second snippet from rehearsals. I think that it is a little too... I'm kind of thinking about the word usage here. The stage is a little too empty, and maybe it's a little too plain and simple for the large Eurovision stage. Like if this was the staging that they had brought to Dansk Melodi Grand Prix, and then they brought it to Basel, and it was even bigger, we'd be talking a different story here. But I think that from what we've seen, it really doesn't start to pick up until that tail section of like the bridge into the final chorus, where it goes crazy and it looks amazing, and I love the light show. I'm worried about everything that happens in the build up to that, because if that's the big pinnacle, what's happening before it? And this is a dance number. This is like supposed to be this big party moment, and if they don't deliver it correctly, it could kind of fall a little flat. And I think also depending on how, because I don't even know the running order for semi 2, so it's stacked between Georgia and Czechia. So depending on what they deliver, it also is coming after Malta, which is popular. It could get drowned out.
Interesting. I have a different opinion of yours. I'm not worried about Denmark because I know Denmark is not going to qualify. Actually, I have that always as an unlikely qualifier. And I'm sorry, I know you love the song, but and I keep saying it sounds so 2013, but not in a retro version, but in an outdated version. It sounds really like the evil stepchild between Louane's Euphoria and Tanya's Amazing from Estonia 2014. And everything about
the song.
Yeah, but it didn't work in 2014. Why would it work in the year 2025? And the staging has just nothing for me to add. Like I was like, sure, I wasn't a fan of the song to begin with, but I'm always willing to let people convince me otherwise. The act and the staging didn't do anything. Don't worry about the voice. I'm not worried. She was sick a little. She was saving her voice, so I'm not worried about. She's going to be fine. But it's really just the overall package that I was like, I don't think. I mean, it's just what Denmark has done ever since COVID, I mean, I did like 21, so I'm not going to poo-poo on this one. It just became this no change. And DR has been very, very defensive about like, we're not doing anything wrong. I'm like, oh, you kind of are with your song selection. Yeah. So go ahead.
I would say that they have a better chance right now than Ireland. And I've tried so hard. I'm to all the Irish fans and people who love Ireland. I see you. You are valid. I even with the rehearsal clip, I am just like, this isn't gonna work. And it's so sad because you take a look at the song and like it has that like in the same way that you've mentioned, like it has that callback to like the early 2000 like Euro dance like club banger, right? But she's just standing there on a giant like platform UFO with the DJ in front of her.
But she does da-da-dum-dum, da-da-dum-da-da-dum-dum.
Yeah. So I think Denmark has a higher chance. But I think the sucky thing is, if Denmark was in semi 1, I think we'd be having a very different conversation because she might be able to stand out in the crowd. But because she's in semi 2, which is a little bit more stacked and has one extra non-qualifier slot in it,
That is a big point. It turns out
Ooh.
only one slot, but that can make the difference, especially when you are the one that is potentially fighting for borderline qualification. So that is a very valid point. Another question. We have a little. Now the show starts in 30 minutes. We're going to do like 15 more minutes here. What does everybody hype about Belgium so much? I've seen a few clips on Insta, and I don't think it's that impressive so far. By the way, we'll talk about this whole thing, the whole performance afterwards. Connor won't be here because he's leaving work, I think. But I will be here to talk the post-show through, so once the qualifiers in. So make sure to stick around for that. I just wanted to throw it out there. But back to you, Connor, about that question. Did you see, first of all, Belgium, the whole thing? Because I know you had a few misses there.
I have seen Belgium. So
do you think it's overhyped? Or do you think there is something to the staging? That what sets it apart?
So I think for me, in this semifinal, so keep in mind that my opinion and my statements stay within this semifinal. I'm not conjecturing about the final. But within this semifinal, I think that it is one of the most impressive performances. One, because it is a massive light show. It is a massive performance. I think that there's some really cool elements that they've kind of worked into the staging in a way that kind of builds the energy and builds the excitement. He was not 100% last night when we had the second dress rehearsal. He was at like 95%. And I was like, okay, wait, could Belgium win now? I was like,
really?
Holy cow, like this is an amazing. And again, when I keep going back to that running order or the voting recap, he stands out so much in that voting recap because of the clip that they picked, the performance that it is, his vocal performance. Like, it's a standout performance. So I think that that's part of the reason. Again, we're also talking about the Eurovision fans. They love this kind of entry. They love something that's a high pop number. It is a very safe song for the overall audience of Eurovision. And I also think that because of this semifinal, it will stand out. In the final, I don't know, because it could mix in with a bunch of other songs that are very high energy stagings that have a lot of light show elements and things. So it's
all
just
you need is 3-4 points from several countries. All you need is at 10th place, and I think the song certainly has that. And I will add to this, and I love you, Belgium. The song, it's not for me, right? I don't like the song. I always, when I listen to it, feel the need to bathe. Only because it has that rave club sweatiness to it. Somebody put a roofie in my drink and I didn't notice it. And I just like, so I'm the wrong audience here. Too soon. Sorry. So it has really just that kind of feel to me, right? So I had this not in my top 10, my personal top 10. I saw the clips and then I saw the rehearsal. I'm like, that's going to qualify. And it has this moment. His voice, when he hits those big notes, it's just like, and it just bites through these dark beats in a way that it's almost like a contrast. It is quite impressive. And yes, and red is my favorite color, so I have a personal bias there as well. So it just has a darker feel and it just works. It just stands out, and in a good way, not in a bad way. So I think it'll just, I'm not saying it's going to be in the top 5. I don't think it's a winner or anything at Eurovision, but if it does not qualify, I would be shocked. So yeah, that is my thinking. So, and I said with all the love, I need Matt to review all of the things. Sorry, am I being too many metaphors here? I don't know.
No, I just think it's very refreshing that you have such a candid and very unbiased approach in comparison to people who have been watching since December, all of these selections and all of these song reveals. People love your optimism, Matt.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard because right now in semi 2, because, I know I heard your criticism about Ireland. I wanted to give you the one finger salute, but I don't disagree with you. But I want Ireland to qualify so badly, and I still have it as a non-qualifier right now myself. And it's sometimes hard because you just want to be like, I want to support Ireland, I want to support San Marino. But then I'd be just more happily surprised. Here it's the opposite. Although I'd be fine with Belgium qualifying. Like I've gotten used to the song a little bit, right? And live it's way, way better. All right. At ESC United, less than 30 minutes ago, happy Eurovision all. Enjoy all week. So where are you going to watch it, Connor? You're just going to watch it at work on the side, or it's basically?
Yeah, so I'll be watching the semifinals at work because it's 2 p.m. here in the middle of the U.S. So it's a annual tradition of watching while I work. And then the final on Saturday, I have a watch party that I'm going to with some friends. So I'll be able to watch live. And this will be, fun fact, the first year that I don't write the results article for the winner. I feel like I write so many of them. So this will be the first year that I don't do it. I'll be doing the first semifinal.
Yeah.
So I'm praying that it'll wrap before 5, so I don't have to do it and do it in a parking lot, but we'll see.
Yeah, I will on Saturday. I'll have a Eurovision watch party by myself of one, because I got to do all this stuff. Woohoo! Sad. Antisocial Matt. So yeah, I'm just gonna be by myself, but that is okay. I got so much work to do. Now, out of the, by the way, people ask questions at EST United if you want me to answer them. Out of the direct qualifiers, Connor, which one are you the most interested in, like the whole thing now? Is there one that really is like, that's the one? Or are you more into the semi-qualifiers right now?
Of the direct qualifiers, I am really interested in France right now. Mainly because we've seen that snippet of the giant like sand falling, which gives me what am I thinking of? Well, anyway, there was that one with the sand from a few years ago, in 21. But I think that one I'm excited for because I want to know kind of how all of that's going to work. And I think that I am also, again, excited for Switzerland because it's the one that I've not seen, I haven't heard. Germany, I think, could be very interesting, mainly just because it is the one that I'm probably the least familiar with of the 6. It's the one that I don't listen to as often. I don't listen to a lot of these songs, honestly. I've been, again, a little out of the bubble. But it's also the one that we haven't heard performed as much as like Spain and Italy and things like that, because she's been sick for most of the pre-party season. So I'm very interested to see how this sounds, and do they bring that club vibe?
Like what did she have?
Don't quote me on this.
Something with the voice, like vocal.
Yeah, it was like bronchitis, I think, or something that she got. She actually got it. Again, if I remember this correctly, I think she got it like during the national final, like the week of the national final. And it's they are saying laryngitis. But yeah, it takes a while to recover from that. So they opted for recovery during the preseason instead of performing at whatever percent you're going to have with laryngitis.
Okay, yeah, no, I didn't know that. Yeah, so out of the ones, of course, I said France. This is, I love the song and the staging looks just out of this world. We've seen Italy, we've seen Spain, and I have seen Switzerland. Germany, I'm also in because, I'm originally from that country, although, I don't have a personal bias, at least not anymore as I used to. Actually, I'm more critical of Germany than probably other countries, if anything. But I will say that her vocals weren't the strongest in the national final either, or right now, the clip, it sounded better, but then she looked more wooden. Like she was so focused on singing to stay in tune that for this song, it should be more like, it's like she has to move more, but she doesn't. It's more like a very soft, almost like angelic movement. And it seems like a mismatch almost. And that made me overthinking. Maybe I'm overthinking it again, but that was the first thing that stood out to me. It is very different, Connor, for me this time around, because, I listened to the songs for the first time a week ago. Can you believe it? So I started listening to them a week ago. So I don't have this whole pre-party, the national final, like bias towards it, because sometimes we have resentment towards a certain song because your favorite didn't win that national final. So it's all just very fresh to me. So it's I highly recommend it one year, Connor. I'm not trying to make you not listen to anything, but it's a different experience.
That will probably be my plan next year. Is I might poke around in the national final after it's over and find some gems, but probably not going to be, especially covering all of the shows and all of that jazz. I'll probably just be like, ooh, look, we have a song from Ukraine.
I know, right?
Woo.
Woo, let's listen to it. That was kind of me as well. Matt, how are you finding coming into the contest late? Oh, that was kind of. Do you feel changed? You view the songs because there's little baggage. That's what I mean. I don't even know, because I don't know any. I know the drama in Sweden about the Manzelmerlo story and a little bit of John Lundvik. That's the only one I learned afterwards. I don't know any. Are there any major drama from national finals? I heard about Montenegro, that the song withdrew because it was pre-released prior. I did know that as well, but I don't know what the original song was, so I wouldn't know. Is there any other national final that was pretty dramatic?
Well, I mean, you've missed pretty much Withdraw-Vision,
Withdraw-Vision. Who
where,
else withdrew?
well, Moldova
Oh, that,
held
yeah,
their
that's true.
auditions and then canceled the entire national selection and withdrew from Eurovision. But also the like iceberg list of songs that were pulled from national selections because they were pre-released, artists that withdrew themselves from national selections, and were either replaced or not replaced, or were disqualified from national selections. Like, it was an unusual number this year of basically like, oh, we've released the list of artists that are going to be competing, and then we would have to do an update of like, well, this person is now out because of X, Y, and Z reason, or this person decided to quit. And I think like Croatia went through like 3 of their backups for Dora or something. I don't know. Again, I don't pay attention that deeply. But it was a bunch of people that got pulled in because people were just canceling left and right. And in fact, one of the ones that made it to the final was a Eurovision fan who was somewhat well known on the Eurovision Reddit, who was the
And
backup
what country now? I'm sorry.
in Croatia.
In Croatia still. Okay.
Yes.
Really?
And so he submitted a song. He was on the backup, the reserve list for Dora, and then made it in, and then qualified for the final, a la Baby Lasagna. So just goes to show that if you're on the reserve list for Dora, don't give up hope. You may do well.
I know, right? Just because the producers think you are a backup doesn't mean the people feel the same way. So it's very interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. So any other questions, as always, at ESC United? We have a few more minutes. So I know, Connor, you said earlier that you are not locked in. You're not convinced that Sweden is the winner. So if you had gun to your head kind of situation, decide the winner right now. You're not locked in right now, of course. You know, there's not for your final prediction. But if there's one that you think is the most likely winner right now, who would it be and why?
So I will admit that I, going into Eurovision, was not anticipating saying this. Right now, I think it's Albania.
Stop the press. That is interesting. Keep talking, because I didn't expect that.
Now, keep in mind, I usually always love the Albanian songs in Eurovision. I recognize that sometimes it is very hard for the greater community to get behind them, but they've had this momentum since their selection in Festivali Ikengis in December. But the staging package that they have put together for Basel is absolutely stunning and amazing. I think that they have some really great camera work. I think that they have a package that in this semifinal could really stand out. Now, my worry for Albania is, should they qualify, which again, I believe that they will, should they qualify to the grand final, how do they stack up against the other 25 songs? That's where I think a little bit of my worry is you get more impressive packages, but at least right now in the semifinal 1, they are my standout performance. I have been thinking about the performance. I have been thinking about the staging. I have been listening to the song over and over again. It has been like my go-to number in the last 24 hours. So
yeah,
I'm going to be interested to see how this turns out. I'm going to be more interested to see, once the final happens and we get the results from the semis, how did they actually do? Because that's going to be very interesting to me.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting because I do have a similar. I mean, I don't think they're going to win. I wouldn't go that far, but I do have them as number 2 in the semi right now. I think it's going to do really well with the televoters. I still don't think it's going to be enough to win because I can see the jury's putting this in the top 10 somewhere, but not in the top 5 or like one of the over 200 points. Because I think on average, I mean, that could be an exception, right? But you need at least 200 points usually, from like both the juries or the televoters, unless something really super insane happens. But I think that's a safe thing to say. So I don't know if Albania is there with the juries, actually. So that's my caveat here. But I could see absolutely Albania overperforming, for the lack of a better word.
And it's possible. I mean, again, it's a year where we don't have a very clear, direct, like, I think that this is 100% the person who's going to win. So should they all compete across the juries and points be up and down all over the place, we may end up having a winner who doesn't win the jury or the televote and just happens to aggregate out to the highest point total. I think that is actually Albania's pathway to victory, is doing well enough in the televote and well enough in the jury that they don't win either, but no one else wins both of them, or is high in the jury but 7th in the televote, and they just kind of sneak into the top of the scoreboard. But that's just all conjecture. And
yeah, I mean, that's all we can do at this point, right? And then one more question to you. Are you or have you already voted in the rest of the world? Or you don't usually vote? Because it's not cheap.
It's not cheap. It's usually, I have to remember back to last year, I think it's usually about $15 or $16 to vote.
It's like 19, almost 20 euros.
Yeah, so don't hate me for this, but I usually save my votes for the grand final. Especially mainly just because of the fact that you think about the rest of the world vote, right? Is my vote for these countries really going to tip the scales for where they end up? Usually in the grand final, I'll usually do some voting for, like, I think in Liverpool, I did vote in the semifinals. I was there, so I kind of was like, eh. But I was, again, a little bit more invested in 2023, and I was like, I got to make sure that Portugal makes it through. So I gave her like 7 votes out of my 10. This year, I'm just kind of like, whatever happens, happens. And I'm just here for the fun, right? I'm not here at I got to make sure that this happens, or I'm going to go home and cry. I'm just like, we're here for the spirit of Eurovision.
Exactly. And just for clarification, I'll be like, it's 20 euros for 20 votes. So it's a little over €1 per vote. So it's similar in other countries. Like in the US, we're not necessarily used to having to pay for voting when you vote for like American Idol and stuff, right? That's usually free. So I was like, what? But
it used to be.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't pay. Yeah, I don't know. But it's not the same amount, I would assume. So I did vote. I voted 20 times, and I voted strategically a little bit, I will say. But I will not tell you until after the show, because I don't want to influence, even as much as I'd love for you to help me on that. But I did a vote.
You voted 20 times for San Marino. I got it. Oops, did I spoil?
I say nothing. Drink up. Cheers. I will not confirm or deny any of this. Anyways, everyone get ready for the show. We have like a little bit more than 10 minutes, and I want to, make sure you have your snacks and your drinks ready, and so am I. As a reminder, I will be back after the show when we have the 10 qualifiers. So make sure I have a link up already. So mark it so you know when we go live, or just wait there. That is up to you. Connor, thank you so much for joining us. Hope to see you in one of the future ones, just to pop in and say hi. Yeah?
Yeah, I probably, if I can make it work, I probably have plans to pop back in on Thursday as well for the pre-show, post-show, I don't know. But at least for the pre-show, I'll be around, and it's always a pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, sounds good. Glad to have you. All right, everybody. I'll talk to y'all later.
Bye, everyone.